Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and you guys, today we are here for a foundation review. We have the newest release from NYX. This is their Born to Glow Naturally Radiant Foundation. They just released this in 42 shades, and I am so excited to dive in and do a wear test for you. But before I get into that, I do want to ask you guys a really quick question, and I want you to answer it down in the comments if you don't mind. When I purchased this foundation, I also purchased a ton of new stuff from NYX's website. Out of the entire box of stuff that I grabbed, there's, primers and blushes and glosses and lipsticks and tinted cheek balms, and there's all kinds of good stuff in there. But the main thing that I had a question on from you guys is actually these palettes. Now, this one right here is the Modern Dreamer palette, and then this is their Such a Know-It-All palette. And my question between the two of them is, would you like to see an individual video, and if so, on which one? I'm inclined to believe that you'd probably want it on the Modern Dreamer palette, because when they released their other big pan palette like this, I did a huge review on that as well, all the swatches and talking about it and going through. I thought maybe I should compare this one to that one, see if the shades are similar, see if the formula is similar, all that good stuff. Now obviously some of you won't care or you won't have an opinion, and that is fine too. You can leave that down below. I think for me it makes more sense to do Modern Dreamer, but I just wanted to check with you guys, get your thoughts and opinions, and go from there. But let's dive into the foundation because it's already been too long. Time to talk about foundation. Time to talk about foundation. All right, now all the information for this I am reading off of the NYXCosmetics.com website, which is where I picked this up. The overview here, it is $10. It was released in 42 shades, although in the description it says 45, but I'm seeing 42, so somewhere there's a typo here. And then down in the description box it says this is a naturally radiant foundation with buildable medium coverage that has a finish that lasts on the skin. It blends like a dream, and it'll work with your skin to create a smooth, even toned look. Now from what I can see as far as the shade range goes, it's not bad, but I haven't seen any like physical swatches on an arm. All they have are these little swatches right here, which doesn't really help me a ton, but from what I can see there is a nice gradient. And on the fair side, I can say I picked up the shade Fair, which is 1.5, which according to their website is the third shade in, and it actually looks like it might be a little too fair or perfect for my skin tone, which is pretty good as far as a fair shade goes because there's still two shades lighter than this one, so I'm not mad about that. And on the deep side it looks nice and deep as well. I feel like the deep side doesn't have as many deep shades as maybe the medium does. It looks like the medium has a lot more shades than the light or the deep, but there is a nice gradient there, which I'm happy about. Claire, you better calm down. It's too loud. All right, so for today's review, we're ready to rock. I have my hair back, my skin is primed, and per usual, I went in with two different primers. I have my Tatcha Silk Canvas on this side, and on the other side, I went Cover FX Gripping Primer. Now, I went in with those two primers for the same reasons I normally do. I try to match one side as a control variable, which usually is my Tatcha Silk Canvas, and then on the other side, I like to pick a primer that I think would work well in keeping it on my face longer or complement the foundation. And because this one is a naturally radiant finish, my skin is normal to oily, I thought it might be nice to have something on this side that has more of a grip factor, more of a staying power, if you will. And I just thought that the two of them could work really well together. But I really like splitting my primers. That way I can see maybe it's the primer, maybe it's the foundation, and that way I just have a little bit more of an area to work with and understanding the product. Now that being said, I also went ahead and grabbed every application tool I could find. I grabbed my normal wet sponges. These are actually the AOA Beauty Sponges. They're like $1 or $2. Really cheap, affordable, good sponges. And for those of you that don't know what this guy is, this is the Juno and Co sponge, and this is just a really nice little microfibery type sponge that helps build coverage and maintain coverage. So like in a traditional sponge, everything soaks into the sponge itself, and these little hairs right here, it's actually covered in fuzz. That helps prevent the product from soaking into the sponge, which helps keep more of it on your skin and therefore building up a little bit of extra coverage, which I thought would be really nice with this foundation. And I don't know what it is about this. I don't know if it's the color, I don't know if it's the natural radiant. There's something about this that just had me feeling like, girl, you might need this guy. So let's just go ahead and dive in here. Little sealer, good call. All right, and here is the shade Fair 1.5. Very light, a lot lighter than what I'm used to, but that's all right. I'm just gonna take and apply it right here. All right. Yeah, that's really light. Okay. Wonderful. I'm just going to take and dot a little bit, and I actually think I'm going to start off with my Juno and Co sponge just to see if I can get a little bit more coverage with it. I will of course go in with another sponge here. Oh wow. Alright, so the Juno and Co sponge likes it. That's good news. I cannot believe how light this is. I just started spreading it out and I'm like, I think it got lighter. Oh my god. Oh, this is so fun. Okay. What, like, real gag is that, honestly, it's probably a closer shade match than a lot of other shade matches I've had. So that's cute. Okay, so with the Juno and Co sponge, it actually applied really nicely. Now I am going to, of course, go in and use a regular sponge, just for those of you that don't have a Juno and Co sponge. On this side of the face, again, this is just the cheap little $1 Shop Miss A sponge. So let's go ahead and see what kind of coverage we get on this side. That's interesting. The coverage isn't bad, but I do feel like we instantly just kind of went to 2 pumps on this side. Like, it looks like it has a 2-layer coverage with the Juno and Co. This side I can still see a lot of my skin and like hyperpigmentation through. It's not bad though. It actually does build up pretty nicely with a beauty sponge. If you do like a more full coverage look though, I would probably stick with like a Juno and Co or a brush or something to that effect. Now, I didn't go in with a brush with this foundation because I didn't feel like, with the viscosity of it, how thin it is and how runny it is, I don't think it would have worked as well with a brush. There are certain foundations I can apply nicely with a brush. They can't be too thick, they can't be too thin. They have to be right in that sweet spot in order for me to like the application with a brush. And this was just, I think, a little bit too liquidy. So I think my ending thought as far as coverage goes, it's not bad. I did just apply a 1.5 to 2 layers over here. They were thinner layers, but you can still see like my acne hyperpigmentation popping through. I do think that they're right. It's a good medium buildable coverage. I'm gonna go in here with just a little bit more just because I'm super curious and I want to see if I can build this. I'm gonna use the Juno and Co sponge and just kind of build it up all over the face a little bit. I'm not going in with a ton of product, which is really, really nice because that'll help make it so it doesn't get thick and cakey, hopefully. Hopefully being the operative word. Okay, so I've just been sitting here letting it settle and sink into the skin for a minute, and I am starting to see a little bit of that nice natural radiance come through. It looks nice and lightly glowy, but it's not overly so, which is key. I'm gonna go in now with my e.l.f. Camo Concealer. This is in Light Sand and Shape Out the Face. Yeah, I'm starting to think that this might not be light enough. Whoops. I'm gonna try going in with a little bit of this on top. This is the Milani Conceal and Perfect. Just a little bit here. This is in the shade 100 Pure Ivory. All right, that helped a little bit. I definitely think adding the Milani was necessary. Now we're gonna go ahead and powder, and for that I'm gonna use the Hourglass Translucent Veil Setting Powder here, and I'm gonna use this all over the face, under eyes, the whole bit. All right, you guys, so I went ahead, I set the face. It's looking a little powdery, which is pretty typical. Anytime I set any foundation with a powder, it looks powdery, go figure. So I'm gonna go ahead off of camera. I'm gonna finish up the rest of my face. Really simple makeup day today. I'm not really wanting to put a ton on. It's beautiful outside. I just wanna get it on my face so I can go do all the things I gotta get done. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and really give this a chance to settle in. What I will say is that after I applied it, I do feel like I lost just a touch of coverage, which isn't uncommon with medium buildable foundations. So I would say this is a nice buildable medium to a high medium coverage. And I also wanted to mention, I think even if you're on the dry side, you will have to lightly set this foundation to blend anything on top of it because it was still quite tacky when I went in to apply my powder. I always do like a little tap test right here just to kind of feel the level of tack. And it was quite tacky transferring to my hand. So I do think you'd have to set it. I can't say that you need to set it over, like if you're more dry on your upper cheeks, you might not have to set it there. But if you want to blend any sort of a bronzer or anything on top of it, you probably would have to set it. Even if it was just a thin layer of translucent, you probably would need something on top of it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead, do my face, and I will be right back. All right, beautiful people, I went ahead, I got the rest of my makeup on. I figured I would give you a real quick run through of the products I used just in case you were curious. So I used the BH bronzer in Golden Gal for bronzer. For blush, I used the Isn't It Peachy blush palette. I used this shade Bloom down here. This is actually from the new makeup line, Makeup Obsession at Target. I did a full video. I will link it up here for you guys. And for highlight, I went in with this palette right here. This is Blushing in Bali by BH Cosmetics. This is the shade Glisten, and that is that beautiful icy highlight you see all over my face. I did just use this in a full face of drugstore makeup I never tested. I will link right up here. For lips, I went in with the Colourpop lip liner in another Lather Round and the ABH Gloss in Terra. For brows, I went in with the usual. This is the Urban Decay Double Down in Neutral Nana and the ABH Dip Brow Gel in Dark Brown. For eyes, I used the Come As You Are palette, which was also in that video I just linked. I used one shade and one shade only, the shade Cool Beans right here. That was all the way through the crease, and then all over the lid is the shade Glisten from that BH Cosmetics palette. And then for mascara, I used the Colourpop BFF Mascara. Now, let's go ahead and chit chat about this foundation. I was really nervous at first because I thought it was looking really chalky and really textured on the skin. Now, I will say anytime I go in with a foundation that's this light in color, that does happen to me. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, anytime I go in with a shade that's even close to my natural skin tone or lighter, which this one did pull a little bit lighter than my natural skin tone once it was all applied. Anytime I go in with a color like that, it looks a little bit too textured on my skin. I don't know if that's just a personal preference thing. I don't know what it is, but it does happen. So I kind of spent a lot of time today going through and really trying to glow up the skin and making sure that when I went in with highlight, I really worked it into the apples of the cheeks, and I wanted to do something to give my skin back a little bit more color, a little bit more life, because I do think that that helps the overall look. Now, that being said, I think I was able to make everything match pretty well, and that did help dissipate a lot of the texture and a lot of the discoloration that I wasn't loving. I do like the natural glow this is giving me, but I'm more so looking to see how this is going to wear throughout the day, because my biggest concern is that if it's already looking this textured or this porous around the mouth and around the nose, I wonder how that's going to translate here in like 6 to 8 hours. So that's kind of my biggest concern at the moment. But what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and insert a little clip right here. I'm going to take one for you guys in natural light just so you can see what it looks like, because I feel like in natural light a lot of my hyperpigmentation and my redness is coming through a little bit more than it is on camera, so I want to make sure you guys can have that close up as well. And now that we have seen that, what it looks like right now, I'm going to go do my day. I will stop back on here, like I said, in a few hours at the end when it's all said and done, and give you guys my final thoughts, what I think about how it wore, what I would do differently, and all those good things. So hang tight and I will be right back. Okay, you guys, it is officially the end of the day, and I've been wearing this makeup for about 8.5, 9 hours. It has been such a long, sweaty day for me, and I want to give you my final thoughts on this foundation. Now, I'm going to start off by saying that if you have any sort of creasing or smile lines right through this region, that is the first place that I noticed having issues as far as the wear. I actually did a little mini video at about 3 or 4 hours just to show you guys that the settling was already starting pretty quickly during the day. Now, there could be a couple of different reasons for that. One, I am normal to oily, so maybe there was a little bit of movement, a little sloughage because of my oil. But I personally think it's because this is a very natural, more dewy kind of finish to it. And I think on my skin especially, that does just move around no matter what. It doesn't matter how I prime or what I'm doing as far as a foundation goes, to like prime or prep or even to set the foundation. I do find that natural foundations or radiant foundations, they just move more, and I think that mattified foundations are designed to cling and stick and be dry and be very Sahara-y, like that's what their intention is. But when you are getting into a more natural or a more dewy foundation, they do settle into your fine lines and wrinkles a little bit more. I feel like that's pretty standard across the board, just because they are going after the more healthy, glowy skin look, and naturally I just think that that's what happens when things break apart. Now, I say all of this because going into the rest of my thoughts, they aren't actually that bad. This foundation did, of course, break up. I'll go ahead and throw in what it looks like right now. I had quite a bit of the creasing by the end of the day around the mouth, the upper lip, and the under my chin, or like under my lower lip area. That's a little bit rough right now. Around the nose, it's pretty bad too. I actually had a lot of straight up breakage on the bridge of my nose, which you're seeing. As far as the Hulk crease and all the little wrinkles on my forehead, I was actually kind of shocked because it didn't really settle into the Hulk super bad, but you can see all my little like micro wrinkles on my forehead. So that's how it's sitting right now on my skin, and I wanted you guys to get that good up close look because obviously I don't want to hide anything from you, but this is one of those situations where even though by the end of the day it did break apart and it caused, you know, a little, I would say a fair amount of havoc, it wasn't very long wearing for my skin personally. I actually really think I enjoy this foundation. I think if you are on like the normal to dry, maybe combo skin, I think you could really enjoy this. And here's why. I like the amount of radiance that this gives. I think that it's a beautiful natural radiance, like it says in the description, that really does increase throughout the day based on my oily skin to a beautiful glowy look. Now, near the end of the day, I did have like even down through here, I almost never am like oily looking or like that wet glow kind of look. I almost never have that down around the base of my nose. And today was one of those situations where when I went like this, I was like, oh girl, we have a situation, a brewing. And for the first time, I wasn't really mad at it. And I think it's just because as this foundation wore, it did so beautifully and so gracefully. And along those same lines, this foundation also photographs absolutely beautiful. I don't know what it is. The way that it kicks the light back is just stunning. And I really love too that as a normal to oily skinned person, I was wearing this, which is a radiant, glowy foundation. This had the ability to completely sabotage me, break up all over my cheeks, really cause havoc all over the place. And the fact that this managed to maintain this really beautiful, just straight glow to the skin, I have a lot of respect for that. Like, this is in my opinion, a really nice balance for a glowier foundation, and I really enjoy it. A couple of things that I also wanted to note though, if I'm talking about primers, I do feel like this is the foundation that worked a lot nicer with the Tatcha Silk Canvas side versus the Cover FX side, and I'm not sure if that's something you could see in camera. I tried to give you, enough shots that you could see, but overall I do feel like it's a little bit smoother on this side, and the pores just overall don't look as maximized as they do on this side. Not that this side looks bad, but something to note. Now, one final thing, at the tail end of all my foundation reviews, if you are new here, I like to tell you guys what I would do differently or what I would change as far as a mixture, if I would mix it in with something, a primer, a spray, anything like that. And I think because I am normal to oily, there are a couple of things I would change. I would probably stick with the Tatcha Silk Canvas. I really like that. I might go in with like an Urban Decay all-nighter spray or something that might give me a little bit more of a matte base to start with just from the jump. I think that would be very helpful. I think that I could wear this foundation again by itself. I would probably want a deeper shade if I was wearing it alone, because again, I told you guys this morning, personal preference, like yes, this actually matched me pretty well, but in real life, I feel like I looked a little bit more pale than I would like. I do prefer to go just like one shade darker. So I personally would probably pick up that next shade, or as an alternative, which I was kind of thinking in my head, like how could I wear this with what I have on hand? And I think it would look beautiful to mix this with just a drop or two of the Catrice HD Full Coverage. I love using this because it has a very nice second skin effect. It has beautiful coverage, so it would actually give me a little bit more coverage from the NYX, so I wouldn't have to build it up quite as much, because I didn't get chunky or anything on the skin. Like, it never looked too thick or too cakey, but I could have used a little bit more coverage. Like right through here, you guys can see all of my acne and stuff. So I think it would be beautiful to add in a couple drops of this, and not only would that help with the second skin and adding that coverage, but it would also give me a little bit more of a mattified effect, because this is a mattifying foundation, and it would serve to give me a little bit more of that depth of color I was looking for, because this is a really deep color on my skin. So I think that just in correcting and adding in a little bit of that Catrice, a lot of these changes could be fixed and overhauled, and that's just a really awesome solution that I'm kind of seeing going down the pike, because I really like the glowiness of this, but the Catrice wears really well, so maybe mixing the two could be like a really hot combination. And also, because I am normal to oily, the only other thing I would change is going in with a light amount of dewy spray at the end, and that's just, again, because I'm normal to oily. If you are more on the normal to dry, or any other type of spectrum, obviously that's not so much an issue you would have. But overall, I'm really happy with this foundation. I actually feel like for one of the only times ever in the history of foundation reviews, I feel like they nailed everything about this. Their description was not misleading in any way, which I really appreciate. The finish was dead on. The coverage was a medium coverage that was very buildable. A little bit goes a long way. It spreads beautifully on the skin. Just overall, I really do think this is beautiful. Is it the ideal standalone foundation if you have normal to oily skin like I do? Probably not, because you're not going to get that long wear out of it, but I do think that there are a lot of instances where I could use this and it would really enhance my skin. I will definitely keep working with it. And I was actually thinking too, at the beginning of this video, I actually mentioned to you guys I'm going to be doing another NYX video here at some point, and what I might do in that video, because I'll be testing out their primers, maybe I'll try and go in and mix the NYX with the Catrice on camera. We could maybe see how it looks, how it applies to the skin, and maybe we could just kind of keep working with it together. And obviously I'll keep you guys updated on my side of it as well. You guys know I do product update videos, but just maybe, I don't know, to keep playing around with it. But you guys, that's it for this video. I really hope that this was helpful. I want to hear from you all down in the comments. I want to know if you were looking at this foundation, if you were curious what your thoughts are. How do you think it wore? I actually think on camera, even right now, I just think it has the most beautiful glow to it. I really do love the way that this films. Like, I can't say enough good things about that. But I want to hear from you guys. Your thoughts and opinions, foundation, down below. And don't forget, from the beginning of the video, I want to know your thoughts on those palettes. What do you think would be a cool way to separate them and do its own video? Because the more that I thought about it throughout the day, I was just like, yes, it needs its own video. It needs to be a thing. So leave me all of your thoughts and opinions on that down below as well. And don't forget, while you're down there, you can check me out on Instagram and on Twitter by scuttling on up right to the description box. They are both hyperlinked, so all you have to do is click them and click follow. And if you haven't done so yet, please do not forget, you can also subscribe and turn on your post notifications notifications for this here YouTube channel. I upload 5 videos a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They go up bright and early between 6 and 7 a.m. my time here in Northern Michigan. It is early, it is bright, we drink our coffee, we do our lives together, and it is just a ball of fun around here, all surrounding new makeup. So definitely subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and you guys, that is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. I can already hear it in the comments. Paige, that color is perfect for you. And I'm going to be like, I know, I just want to be tan. Please don't deny me my tan, my fake tan. Please don't deny me. I like the natural glow side effects. You got to get up the ducky if you want to play the saxophone. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh my God. Hi. Guess who never shut the camera off? Me. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige. This is Seeking Alexandria, and you guys, today we have a foundation renew or not. Girl, you gotta get up the ducky. Get up the ducky. Oh, get up the ducky. Oh, get up the ducky. Oh, look at that popping highlight though. Look at it. I could just like do one of these. That's my thumbnail. God, do I lack every ability to be serious? Just like this is me. Can't you see me in a campaign, like in a store? I have like, say, 500,000 subscribers. My face is all over the grocery store, and I'd be sitting there with like a bag of Doritos, like, but like a beaming highlight, just like, and that would be my campaign photo. Yeah.